Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this next Ericsson Live video. We are broadcasting live across Facebook and Twitter to literally gazillions of followers across the Middle East and Africa. We're broadcasting live from Ericsson's Middle East and Africa HQ here in Dubai. It's 4 o'clock. I'll just quickly introduce this gentleman here. It's Ekow Nelson. He is the Vice President and Head of Global Consumer Unit for Ericsson and Consumer Unit Pakistan. And before I properly introduce Ekow, I'd like to just say as well, with it being a live video, please do feel free to engage. We'll be broadcasting for about 20 minutes. And at any point, in fact, towards the end of the video, I will check to see if we've got any comments and what have you on Facebook, and see if we can't respond to those live with these wonderful people here. You are probably aware that we have previously announced the winners of our 5G university competition that we carried out in collaboration with Etisalat and Intel. And today, we're actually really lucky and excited to have a few of the winners here with us today. You'll get to hear more from them in just a second. But actually, first of all, please welcome our winners from the American University of Sharjah and NYU Abu Dhabi. If you could just take a second, I'll start with you, Jared, and we'll go around just to introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are, why you're here, what inspires you, and what's next. That would be great.
Thank you, Jonathan. My name is Jared Pramesh. I'm from the American University of Sharjah. I graduated Kamal Lawry around 3 weeks ago, and I'm here because I'm the first place winner of the Ericsson Etisalat competition that was held over a year ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And our project was on decentralizing processing using the capabilities of 5G. And as you know, Ericsson is a huge player in the 5G market. And I really like what they're doing with the 5G technology in terms of automation, warehouses, hospitality, hospitals, and so on. So yeah, that's why I'm here to learn more and to test my mettle.
Brilliant. Welcome. And over to you.
Thank you, Jonathan. So I'm Dwarha Maishwar Sharma. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering student at New York University, Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Me and my partner, Balig Ahmed, were the second-place winners in the 5G.
Sorry about that. He just beat you there too.
Yeah.
That's why you're just too good.
And we came up with a project called Augmented Assembly.
Okay.
And Balig and I are also fortunate enough, we're currently interning with Ericsson's Innovation Hub. So we're 2 weeks into our internship. We have 2 more weeks.
Great.
So we're currently working on some Internet of Things and artificial intelligence projects.
Oh, fantastic.
And finding what's there, learning more about Ericsson and the projects.
Wow. And here's our third place student. Oh, sorry. Ekow, please.
Hi, my name is Ekow Nelson, and I look after Ericsson's business with Etisalat globally. I also have business responsibility for Ericsson's business in Pakistan.
Great. And actually on to our third placement.
My name is Marwan Bardisi. I recently graduated from the American University of Sharjah with a bachelor in electrical engineering.
Okay.
I got third place in the competition.
It's okay. It's all right. That's fine. You're here on Facebook Live.
Yes, that's fine. I actually did my internship here at Ericsson last year. I spent 4 weeks here in Dubai, and we flew to the headquarters in Stockholm for a week there. We visited the Ericsson studio. They also took us on different tours.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good, and the experience there was very informative. We attended different sessions with different companies, and we actually learned a lot, all of us.
But you soaked up a lot of cutting-edge technology in
yes,
that
we
internship
did.
and this one as well.
We went behind the scenes in the Ericsson studio where we saw different applications for 5G, where like remote driving and like a lot of stuff over there.
Brilliant. Well, thank you all so much. I must admit, Ekow, I feel a bit old, actually, having these young, brilliant minds at the table with us.
Absolutely.
But if you could just tell us a little bit more, please, about the whole initiative, why we're joined by these awesome chaps, that would be great.
Yes, sure. Thanks, Jonathan. I'm also very excited to be here. So let me explain the logistics of the competition. Last February, Ericsson, as Jonathan said, in collaboration with Etisalat and Intel, organized the university competition. And we selected students from renowned universities in the UAE, American University of Sharjah, NYU, in Abu Dhabi, and we brought them together. And the objective really was to get them to think outside the box and to imagine what we could do with 5G.
No small task. Yeah, really.
So the winners were selected on the basis of a number of parameters, including creativity, innovation, business case, potential, and above all, the applicability and the benefits of to 5G and the impact on overall UAE society. Because as you know, UAE is really very focused on digitalization, and so we're looking at how those will contribute to the entire ICT agenda for the UAE.
I think we're lucky. We live in a very progressive country in our sense. No, I think it's great. I mean, you know, I mean, Ericsson's able to bring together all these partners and leading academia, and that's really, as I say, I'm feeling a bit old, but really probe these young minds and see what is next, because you know there's a different perspective that comes into play, which is really, really great. Especially in the case of 5G, we're just on the cusp of it now. Things are coming into play. So, Jeru, if I can turn to you just for a little bit more detail. I mean, you won first place.
Yes.
We don't need to dwell on that. Congratulations again.
Please do dwell on that.
But and you said your idea was about this decentralized P2P technology, which is great. I don't understand what you just said. So how did you come up with it?
Okay, sure, Jonathan. Thank you for the question and putting me on the spotlight.
Yeah.
So, when we started, what we wanted to do was, you know, focus on the sharing economy, which is a trend right now in, you know, all sorts of fields.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted everyone to benefit from the platform. So whether it's service providers, whether it's an average individual. So how can they all profit, benefit, and, you know, get something out of what we make using 5G? So with that, we asked the question of what does everyone have that's not already being used to their fullest potential.
Okay.
So for example, Uber is using cars that are not used, Airbnb is using houses that are not used. So the next logical thing was smartphones, which everyone has, and not everyone uses the time.
You're not going to use my smartphone. Sorry.
I'll get into that into a bit detail. So what we wanted to do with 5G was using the capabilities of higher bandwidth and lower latency, just connect them all into a decentralized grid computing system so that you can take a bit of processing power from each of them. Wow. So if you have a big task that demands artificial intelligence or IoT or VR, AR, you know, most CPU intensive tasks, we kind of divide them and conquer. So all these phones process tiny tasks, they come together. Wow. And so a person who might not have a, you know, state-of-the-art system can still run heavy applications using this. And we targeted this towards Etisalat, who was a sponsor of the event. Okay. So as most of their work goes to, they outsource most of their cloud and services mainly. So with this, they can have 5G mobiles on their own network and utilize the power of all the devices connected on their network. And for the users that, you know, host the devices on the network, don't worry, we won't use any of your data.
I was going to say, what's in it for people like me?
Yes, exactly.
If I give you my data, my spare data.
Yes. So if you give me your phone for, you know, a small amount of time, not right now, so, and not me personally, the system, which is going to be smart, is going to take a small amount of processing power, and we give you phone credits and data.
Okay.
So Etisalat would do that, and we consulted with them, and they were really open to the idea. And when the technology launched, they would like to, you know, implement this.
Great. Yeah. And that would be in association with Ericsson, I guess.
Yes,
of course.
Absolutely. I guess my question for you is that could you do the same thing with 4G technology? What was the 5G angle to this?
Yeah, the 5G angle. With 4G technology, the research has been done into doing a bit of them, but the latency is too much for any like noticeable improvements. Okay. So you could still run applications, but it's going to be really slow. Okay. And for many, you know, time-sensitive applications, it's not ideal at this moment. So with 5G, we're hoping that would change.
Did you look at specific types of applications that would lend themselves to?
Yes, mostly we looked at stuff that requires a lot of data processing, and things that require a lot of like VR, AR, mixed reality, which is something Ericsson is working on in the headquarters at Sharjah. So, and that requires a lot of battery power. Your phone would just burn if you run it on one phone. So if you have like, let's say, hundreds of phones, doing a bit of it, you know, it's a huge improvement.
Okay. Duvar, Sorry, do.
Yes.
You mentioned it was augmented assembly. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. If you could give us a bit more detail about that, please, because once more, I'm afraid I'm completely in the dark about how this would come together.
Yeah. So to give you a little bit of context, the idea started in my first year summer. So we got to tour the air cargo warehouse of Etihad. And we found out that the air cargo that gets into flights doesn't just go in boxes, it gets assembled on something called pallets.
Okay.
And each pallet takes about 1 hour to build, and it's completely manual labor intensive. And you've got people carrying them on and then realizing it doesn't fit, taking it off, and trial and error. So when we learned about 5G and how it can help, we thought about developing this virtual environment, which is an augmented environment, which reproduces the real environment in the warehouse. And there's the pallet master who, in current day scenario, guides the people where to keep the packages. He or she will be using the virtual environment to move the packages. And in the real space, there'll be robotic arms that will be following the movement of the person.
And that'll be happening a lot faster, I guess, and
exactly.
a bit less error, I guess, in the way things are going.
And the main reason why we came up with this after learning about 5G was that, you could move it in the virtual environment and the robot could follow you, but with the lag, you would have finished moving 2 boxes and the robot will you wouldn't even know what the robot is doing because you won't be getting the feedback on time. Yeah. So when you go with 5G, my input goes to the robotic arm. At the same time, the force that the robot feels, for example, if it's a 1,000 kilo handling arm and it's handling a 5 kilo box, it's going to be way easier than handling an 800 kilo box.
Okay.
So I will feel that in the virtual space using haptics.
So like virtual weightlifting?
Pretty much, yes. Your arm becomes the robotic arm. So now you're moving a 1,000 kilo box.
Crikey.
With the
feeling quite strong with that.
yes, with the robotic arm. So 5G will make sure there's very little lag, and that we have better work environment, and quicker you finish processing the cargo, more cargo you can send, and more profit for the country.
Fantastic.
Interesting. So how many? You said it takes about an hour to assemble, so typically it'll probably be, in a typical working day, it'll be about 8 pallets that we'll be able to do. Did you do any simulation on how many more pallets they might be able to assemble as a result of this technology?
So we did a rough estimate, we were so when you have a very powerful robotic arm, you could cut down the whole assembly of 8 to 10 pallets to about 2.5 hours.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so we're speaking about 2.5, 3 hours for one full plane.
Right, okay.
Instead of taking one entire shift of one person. So we're speaking almost 3
So
times.
you can almost treble the productivity of
exactly.
so clearly the economic benefit there are fairly obvious if you could do that, yes.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much for that. All right. Back to American University of Sharjah.
Yes.
Now, something smart glasses.
Yes.
Can you give us a bit more information on where?
Basically, it's a smart glass where we made it specifically for people with hearing disabilities, where a person could just wear them, and it enables two-way communication between someone with a hearing disability and virtually anyone.
Okay.
First of all, the person would speak, and then a microphone would detect the speech and then send it to be processed, kind of like speech recognition.
Okay.
And then it would be displayed on the glass as subtitles for the person to read.
That's brilliant.
Yes. And then for the other way, a person would do the hand gestures and they would be captured by the camera, again sent and processing done on the cloud. And then the data would be sent back as speech, where it could be played over a speaker, so the person in front of you would hear.
Brilliant. So either so blind or deaf people, it would work for both.
No, it's mainly for the deaf, right? If I
for the
understand
deaf,
right?
exactly, yes.
Because there is a solution for the blind.
There's a different solution for blind people, yes.
So this is
with the text on the.
That's
right. Not text. They're blind. There's no text.
Sorry.
But it's kind of like a guidance system for they could hear.
So this is more voice to text and text to voice.
Yes,
Fine. Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
Which I guess, I mean, again, 5G, low latency
Yes,
coming in. You need
exactly.
that real time.
We're exploiting the low
Yeah.
latency and the high bandwidth because the hand gestures is a lot of data and we need to transmit it fast. So that's
Yes.
why that's where 5G comes in.
I mean, the societal benefit of this are really fairly obvious because one of the things, again, in addition to being a very advanced society, it's also a society that aspires to being a tolerant society
Yeah.
and a very inclusive society.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like about this society is the renamed disabled people, people of determination.
Yes.
And so this is really very much in line with the
Brilliant.
philosophy and the ethos of this
Yes.
society. So clearly,
Yes, indeed.
the societal benefits are very clear. And I'm not sure why you didn't win first place, actually.
Not here, Ekow. This is not the forum. for
No,
that.
I am not going to rerun the
Oh.
competition. But I have a question for you, though, because when I think about
Yes.
the processing power that's required, you're thinking about processing all of this on the cloud.
Yes.
He's thinking about processing at the edge.
Yes.
So did you guys have any discussion about whether some of this could be offloaded to the edge
Yes,
using the distributed grid that you talked about earlier?
Yeah, actually, when we were in Ericsson headquarters at Stockholm, some of the people in
They
the
mentioned.
industry, they mentioned that these ideas kind of merge well together.
That's right,
So you
yes.
could look into integrating them so that they wouldn't have to go to the cloud when you have devices literally around you.
Right.
So
yes.
that would reduce the latency even further.
That's right, yes.
So it's going to be like instantaneous.
Yes.
So yeah, it was definitely on the table.
So it would be kind of like our cloud is their idea.
Right.
Yes.
We're not rerunning the competition.
I need to make a note. This is terrible. Brilliant. So, you mentioned before about this country we live in, highly productive and competitive economy.
That's right.
5G has just launched. The newspapers are all over it.
That's right.
We are really at the beginning of almost a new era here. So
Yes.
you know, with these ideas coming through, hopefully we can really drive that. But I mean, Ekow, you've been feeding into the ideas here. But what are your thoughts on generally how 5G is revolutionising the way that we work, play, and live in general?
Well, I mean, we at Ericsson and in the industry believe that 5G is going to be a big game changer.
Yeah.
It's not only just about high speeds and low latency. It's the platform that it gives you to really reinvent both consumer and industrial experiences. And we've got
Yeah.
3 examples here, which I'm
Brilliant
really
examples.
very impressed by. Thank you very much for the thought that went
Thank
into
you.
it. And as we edge into the intelligent society with increased agility and the greater capacity in the networks, including using excess capacity
Yes.
in the smartphones, we believe that change will be accelerated at a greater pace. We at Ericsson believe that networks will become they are already intelligent, but they're becoming increasingly even more intelligent than they've been, and enable us to do stuff that we've never been able to do in the past. So I love these ideas. The technology is here; it's right at our fingertips, and we believe that these initiatives will enable us come up with even more ideas and more inspirational innovations that would drive demand for the 5G network and enable us to perform better, our work better, and give us more leisure activities as well.
I am a little bit worried about moving on to 5G. He's going to now start using my phone, but it sounds all very great. Sorry, you presented your ideas there, but you mentioned going to Stockholm. Did you all visit? on the
Yes.
same
Yes, we all
trip?
did. We were together the whole trip, and I
Yes.
was bragging about how I was first the whole trip.
You were what?
I was bragging about how
How
I
they
was
were
first the
first.
whole
And you
time.
still haven't stopped.
It's been continuous. I'm
Yes.
sorry for you guys. And now we're.
He
on-
keeps rubbing it in. doesn't
Yeah, I
he?
really do. It really hurts for these guys. Yeah.
Does it? Okay.
But
All
do,
right.
do you have any more? I mean, apart from what you're doing today
Mm.
with Ericsson, I mean, I suppose going back to HQ
Mhm.
in Sweden.
Yeah.
Start with you again, Joe, if you don't
Sure.
mind. Thoughts from Sweden? What do you have from there? I mean, do you see a difference? Do you see what's coming next to the UAE? What are your thoughts?
There was, I mean, just a difference in my perception as a whole. So I went there as a novice, and many of the, things that's happening in the society, I mean, in the field,
Yeah.
and in Ericsson and so on. And we learned so much. Like from scratch, we were introduced to how startups work, how innovation works, what the cutting edge of technology was,
Yeah.
around the world, and how to approach even the legal matters and intellectual property.
Also, it was a full, like
It was a
holistic,
comprehensive, holistic
Really?
package. Yeah, it really helps you improve as a person. In 6 days, I think I've learned more than I've done on my own in a year. And it was a comprehensive crash course, and it was fantastic. And also, we got a bunch of benefits as seeing the
Yes.
city.
Yeah.
It's
Stockholm, I've only been once. Beautiful city.
Yeah.
beautiful city.
Very
And we
nice,
got
especially in the summer. Did you go in the summer?
Yes, we did in
Yes.
When
Yes.
summer was
Right.
coming to a
Yeah.
close.
Yep.
Good.
Very good.
Fantastic city.
We got to see other places as well, like
Yes.
KTH University, which is a top university in Sweden.
That's right, yes.
We went to Google and they showed us about marketing, and we went to Intel where they showed us all these new technologies and how we could make a change to society as well. And it was really empowering, and we know what the skills we need
Yeah.
to move on in the world now.
Yeah.
And that's just amazing.
For us-
Anything to add to? Oh, sorry.
No, I just want to say, for us though, this is, what is really important is that whilst the technology is exciting, for our customers, this is all about how to capture value.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
competitions like this really give us the opportunity to explore the applications and use cases, as we call them,
Mhm.
that will enable our operator clients, as well as the society in general, to capture value. So this is really useful, and we're going to be continuing this competition as we move forward to generate many more ideas like yours.
I heard there's a new competition happening in September.
Yes,
We should
yes,
participate
so
again,
we're ready, and we'll have a wider participation from our customers. So that's what we're looking forward to do.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm now going to just turn to Facebook, if you don't mind. Unless you guys had
you've got
anything
some
else to add
questions,
from the Sweden trip. Sorry, I know
There's
Jerry, who was first.
always.
He did give a lot of detail there. But do you have anything else? You want to-
One thing I wanted to add was we also kind of learned about how the work culture is changing.
Mm-hmm.
So in Sweden, we met a person who runs a startup where you take vacations, like your day offs are kind of decided by your body. So she lets, it's not like you're off on a Saturday or a Sunday, but it's more like when you feel productive,
Wow.
when you don't feel productive. So
I'll never work in my office. But it's a great idea.
exactly. So that was it, and then we also learned about the work environment in Ericsson itself.
Okay.
So
Right.
that was completely different from what, for example, I've grown up with. They're learning about how people have maternity leaves, paternity leaves, how startups are changing their work culture.
Yeah.
So given that some of us are thinking about startups and
Yeah.
revolutionizing technology, knowing how the way people go to work is changing,
Yeah.
that was also one of my key takeaways from
Okay.
Sweden.
Anything else to
How
add
about you,
on?
Marwan?
No, I think they said a lot.
This
I mean,
chat.
there's nothing left to say.
You've got nothing to add?
I mean, like he said, the trip was very informative, like I mentioned earlier. The tours we had, I mean, they took us through different steps. I mean, they wanted to take our ideas to the next level. They wanted to help us. They even held sessions on how we can improve. They took us to HP, where they were guiding us, or they actually improved on our ideas, and they helped us.
Fantastic.
Yes, it was very. I mean,
Where was my invitation? I need to.
Well, perhaps we can invite you to share some questions with us if
Well-
there are any.
Yes. Now, thank you very much. So, first questions from Korean Jacob. How much of an impact do we think that 5G technology will have on education? Which I think is quite a nice question.
Since you're all in education, I
You're
guess
all-
you're
you're all
probably
you're the hard face of education.
Yes.
Devara, do you have any thoughts?
So something that we saw in the withEtisalat Ericsson presentation was about how you can make education more accessible. So that's always been a conversation, but now, like we said, with the low latency and high throughput, you can get new applications. And we're speaking about not just sending resources, but we're also speaking about being able to share like the teacher, live teaching, and that was something that we spoke about with the withEtisalat presentation.
Because the online courses are quite common now.
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
It's Coursera, edX, and
That's
different
right,
ones. But that real time is the hard, because you have your weekly classes, but then
That's right, yeah.
when do you really sort of touch base? Oh, that's very interesting. Another question from Tamara Shaker. Thank you for sharing this, Tamara. How long? Well, this might be one for you, Ekow.
Is it?
How long do you think it'll take for end users, I think probably consumers and businesses alike here, before they feel the impact of 5G here in the UAE?
Well, Etisalat launched 5G on 14th of May.
So those people who
So
have the
it's-
devices.
Yeah, so if you go and you get the devices, you begin to experience it. But of course, many of the use cases will take a while to come through, and this is work in progress. But it's here and now, and you can begin to experience and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And then Sharon Phillip asked, similar competition initiatives that Ericsson offers for university students pursuing a career in the field of tech and innovation. You mentioned that the next iteration, I guess, will be coming up in the
September.
In September.
Yeah, so
I would say, Sharon, keep an eye on Ericsson Mere's social media channels to see how you can enter that.
absolutely, yeah.
I think that's it for questions from the floor. So thank you for sending those in. Any other closing thoughts? Not from you, Jared. I'm kidding.
I'm minded, I can't.
No, but it's been great having you all here, and thank you so much for spending the time. I've only spent a short time with you, but I know that certainly the mutual benefit that you and Ericsson are having from this exchange, I'm sure, is very powerful. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you.